Joining. So yes, thank you all for joining in. This is the session for the International Coaching Week. We are at day four, technically, of the ICW, but for me, this is day five. It's around my 14th session as a presenter, and possibly overall 15 sessions plus one in terms of the places I've been put on the spot and or spotlighted for the conversation. And there will be one more. So totally that makes it 29 sessions where I will have some footprint in the ICW. So this is a conversation about what my journey has been and how MCC sort of a segment happened. And it's a personal journey, and I'm just hopeful that this would be a space where this would be of interest and possibly inspire someone on this journey in here. So, just to share a little bit about myself, I think this diagram now will go a little deeper inside with regards to what was previously shared. So, this is how it goes. All right. So, just a brief background of how an engineer became a coach. So we'll have to go a little back in the history segment. So I was born in Tumkur, and Tumkur is a generally a smaller townish kind of a space, and then moved on to Bangalore. So I studied my pre-university and then my engineering with electronics and communication. So naturally, electronics and communication became a very easy segment for me to enter into. And other than that, ENC wise, I the moment I entered ENC, I knew this is going to be a tough task for me to figure out what I'm going to do with my life because 2010 I entered engineering. 2011, I met the love of my life. Nothing to do with me marrying somebody. It is poetry that came to me at that point of time. And I was never a poet as such until then, and poetry then came to me and continues to come to me. It's a space where thought downloads happen, things just come by to me, and this is how the conversation in my head goes. So I have penned over 7,500 poems, and in the last 15 years, close to 200 short stories, and I have penned about 11 books so far. Three of them are printed, the rest of them are available on request. And the journey also led me to uh, complete my engineering. I almost left engineering. I went into writing, but then I come from a family of a single parenting. So my dad, he had his own business, so he passed away very early on in my childhood. When I was in high school, so it became a space for me to say, "Oh, I can't just put my hand out there and say, look, I want to just quit engineering and do something else." It didn't work out that way, and thankfully so because it enabled me to meet some fascinating people. And that's how the journey of mine began in terms of the conversation with poetry. It just continued. I finished my engineering, got campus placed. Robert Bosch Engineering, which is a German organization as such, whose offshoots were in India, picked me up in a campus interview. The next 3 years were hell, heaven combined in many ways. The first 6 months are just happy-go-lucky, and the next 3.5, 4 years were in a nightmare of its own in terms of the tempering that I had as an individual. So I was leaving my house at around 6:45 in the morning, coming back only at 9 p.m. So it was a full 14-hour shift. It's helped me in many ways because I can now run almost on that segment for a long day and a long space very easily, very quickly. And that sort of sat in place in terms of who I am, what do I do. Bosch was a place where I think my real test of character happened. And I was replacing a 34 plus years of experience individual who had a PhD, was a doctorate, who had studied, breathed that segment of working. So I was working for braking systems, especially the anti-lock braking system for cars. And we had to check whether every time a production segment happens, we needed to figure it out. So that's the engineering side of who I am. And the engineering segment sort of led me out of, or led me into that space where engineering became a sort of a space where I would uh, exist. But I think that my whole idea of myself was yet to be formed. So I was an engineer at that point. I could also possibly write, and this was the segue at that. I had because I was working from 6:45 in the morning to around 9 p.m. in the engineering segment. I had my first segment of series of burnouts, and each burnout somehow was a possibility for me to just pause and come back. But then there were times when, like I had no time to actually uh, take a lunch break. So I had my lunch in the table. I used to get lunch from home, so I used to eat at the table and finish the coding, testing, X, Y, Z. And we were working for a production plant, so all the craziness of that included in my journey as a coach. And that essentially led me to put my hand up early 2017, late 2018, saying, I think I am done with this. I cannot work anymore. And just before that, I had published my first book of poems. And it was at that point that I felt, oh, I'm confident to move out of this space. And even before that, what helped me stay through the entire journey was a journey of volunteering. And like I said, I come from a single parenting space. And I basically grew through a scholarship program, the scholarship program essentially helping me to run my space through the entire studies equation. And I wanted to give back. So that was my first journey of giving back. So as soon as I started earning, started to give back. And that was my space where I became a leader. If I had to tell that I'm a leader, this was the journey that led me there. And that journey essentially was started with a chance encounters, a lot of chance encounters in my life. A chance encounter led me to go to a school. That school, something happened there that led me to come back and say, yes, we should do this. Two people became four, four became eight, eight became 30, and 30 became 100. And over the next 5 years of work from 2015 to 2020 until COVID happened, even through my sabbatical break, I was part of the whole CSR segment. And I was then leading a team of around 700 people. And that helped me to look at myself, the internal self belief that I can do anything if I set my mind to it. And the whole aspect of giving back communities, everything started from there. And that was where I started to work with senior leaders across the organization, and the whole networking segment really took off. And the engineering side was lesser and lesser of my interest. I took a career break in between in 2018 because I was burnt out and I just couldn't do it anymore. And there was a lot of places now looking back. I wish I had a coach in terms of when I went for my first appraisal meeting. I wish I had a coach when I had my first, moment of meltdown. I wish I had a coach. The space where I asked for an change in terms of teams. I wish I had a coach in terms of how do I communicate with others in an organization. I wish I had the bandwidth to observe and actively listen to what's happening, what's not happening. These are all things in hindsight that I think I can look at and say, hey, I wish I had a coach. And one of the reasons for me to get into coaching full time was all this backtracking as soon as coaching found me, right? So, coaching found me a little later, not just in 2018. So, in 2018, my identities were that I'm a coach, sorry, I'm a poet, I'm a software engineer, and then I run a team that works with volunteering, and that's the identity, majorly the identity that I had. And 2018 was a game changer because for the first time I had no salary to bank on. I was, on a vacation without pay, and I was the only second man to get a sabbatical in the organization, and that too for a reason for a personal aspect of work. To write their own book and build their own segment. So I told I want to write a book, and that's why I'm quitting. And I actually wanted to quit, but it somehow turned into a sabbatical. And that journey then sort of took another turn with the sabbatical. I started to write as go as a content developer or a content writer. That helped me sort of build my own LinkedIn content now. And I also work for building other people's LinkedIn content, even for other coaches right now. So it was all a lot of things coming together, and that was my first taste of entrepreneurship. And looking back, I know that there were a lot of people who bet on who I was, who I could be, and what my value systems were. And that's also how it helps me align in terms of building a business right now. And that was the first space. I wrote about 350 blogs in that year, worked with about 25 websites, all 25 very distinct companies. And for the very first time, my eyes had opened because until then, my life was Monday to Friday at the office, 6:45 in the morning, leave home, and 9:30 come back, have dinner, and sleep. My dating life has its own segment. Don't even ask about it. Then the whole equation turned flip side in a way that after a year, I went back to corporate. It was a clear decision to say, yes, I will go back, build a little bit of corpus, and then exit. And then the exit did happen, but it had its own adventures there. And when I went back within another 3 to 6 months, or within a year, I guess, COVID happened. And COVID chaos was another entire thing. So and I started to work for COVID, volunteering causes, working still with the software side again. But then something changed. I found something called as working out loud. Working Out Loud was a pod of 4 or 5 people from across the world virtually connecting with each other. And I don't know if it's a group coaching as such, but it was everybody being there for each other. It's a group mentoring. I mentor the other four, and all the other four mentor me, kind of a space, shared resources, shared spaces of learning. So that set me up to build a who can't put an empire, but then there were so many things that happened after that. A conversation in terms of psychological safety, my first entry point of psychological safety, diversity, linguistic diversity, diversity in terms of age, diversity in terms of gender, diversity in terms of ethnicity, diversity in terms of experiences. So all that was an aspect that I was working globally on self leadership and self volunteering work. And then essentially it moved to a space of working with sustainability, climate change, working as a mentor for about 800 new freshers that were joining the organization, setting up some of those pillars of that space. So I then got into facilitation, then got into mentoring. Then at some place I said, look, I want to build this full time. And this was the first crack that I had in terms of a perfect picture, or this was the first time my eyes got opened. And when I went to my manager and I said, I want to switch, and he said, yeah, you can, but you'll have to figure out what's the job that you want. I can't help you there. And I wish I had a coach at that point. And I went all around the globe asking for organization help, asking for HR help, and the multitude of help. And it somehow didn't align until the very last, and then that too didn't really come by. And this was the end of the engineering segment of space. And I said, I'm done with engineering. I want to get into HR change management transformation. And yeah, it was the beginning of a segment of life which we call today as coaching. I remember somebody calling, or I calling someone else, and they're telling that you should do a session to get session or learning on transaction analysis. They have a 2 day program called TA 101. Well, TA 101 is just about 10,000, Indian rupees as an investment, and that's the thing that's all that you need to do. And that investment with Navgati, I called them. They did not have TA 101 at that point. They said, "Oh, you should do a leaders develop leaders program, which is their version, their nomenclature for an ACC level one program." And the ACC level one program happened in my exit to the ACC was just about a week of commonality, and yeah, things didn't work out at the office. I exited, And August 1st, 2023 was my first coaching session. I got somebody. And that was love at first coaching. And I knew at that point I had come and, accidentally come into a place where this was what exactly I wanted to. There were promises in terms of, yes, this is going to get you revenue, this is going to be something else. So here I had found an option of what revenue is. Sorry, what I can do, what I like doing, I am good at it, is what I got to know about it. But then it was an inkling saying, hey, this is something I want. And that internal alignment or misalignment that I had had over the last 8 years in my corporate, it just vanished. This was what I wanted to. And then it just became coaching, ease of coaching, building up. And I hope, my storytelling is interesting for you because for some of you, it's very early. At any point of time, if you have a question, do come back. But this is where the engineering side of me sort of put an end to that segment of work. But then the engineer in me is continuing to work in making coaching a possibility. I'll tell you how. So 2023 is when uh, 2023 August is my first coaching call, and sorry, 2022 August is my first coaching call. Um, so I got out of corporate at the exact stage, so it's been about 4 years plus, and I had no idea what was going on. I found love with coaching, but then how to run a business, what to do, what not to do. I asked six people who were coaches who were not ICF at that point of time how they run their business, what do I need to learn, and all six of them gave me six different tangents, and I decided no, that's not going to work. And that's where I was a very good peer coach. And I went into the ecosystem, asked my cohort for the first 10 hours. The next 20-25 hours came from the extended cohorts that the organization already had. And then by about 30 hours, and this is where possibly gets interesting for you as coaches, is that by around 50, I told myself, let's do something interesting. And this was just about a month and a half into coaching and done 50 hours of training, coaching as such, peer coaching. So 50 plus 50, 100 hours put into the equation. I said this is going to be something that I'm going to do full time. I was trying to find another segment of work, but it had not materialized. So I just said, let me figure out what do I need to do. And that, put myself into peer coaching, and I gave myself a deadline in the next 6 months. If I don't get an HR job, I'm doing coaching full time and nothing else. If I fail, I fail in this. If I pass, I pass in this. And that was 100% faith put into the ecosystem. And you will see that in all works that I do. And Navpreet finished their 64 hours of coach training. And that very same day, I had finished 100 hours of my coaching practice. From 70 hours, I had written what coaching means for me as a LinkedIn document. And I also written that as a blog. And then very quickly also made a Canva presentation or a Canva poster. Everything put into one. My intern keeps telling me, my Gen Z intern keeps telling me, saying that's not how you should do posters. And she's been helping me over the last 1 month. But then, yeah, everything will be there in one post of mine. She said it's unreadable. But that was what I had at that point of time. I made a poster, and then 100 hours were an easy game, right? So 5 hours, 20 friends. All I need to do is just get them. And the payment can happen. The faster I understood, the payment can happen in a way that it's a barter, it could be a book, it could be a coffee, it could be, like they take me out for dinner, they review my resume. Um, are you able to hear me? Because I just
It's like the connection is it's going in, it's choppy. Just curious if anybody else was hearing that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no worries. Yeah, no worries. But now, Rhonda, is that better? Do I sound okay?
Yeah, just keep going. I don't know what, I don't know. I didn't know if you were aware of it.
Mhm. Yeah, now
It
I,
looks like,
yeah,
looks like somebody else is having the same. Okay.
yeah, my bad. I am at my best internet. But anyways, the story goes if it's also recorded, it will have recorded it properly. And then yeah, the conversation at that point of time was what do I do with my 100 hours? And 20 people, 5 hours each, and one coaching or one coaching per week, even if I'm looking at it. The idea would be to just get 20 people to sign up. And so that was where the link came in handy, an audio message came in handy, and a poster came in handy. So people who are not on LinkedIn, I gave them a blog address. And for people who are not on LinkedIn and not on Blogspot, I did a voice note. And at that point of time, thankfully, we could have built a 700 member segment in terms of the people that I had worked with me as volunteers. I shared it with about 1,000 people that were part of that my WhatsApp network at that point of time. And that essentially got me about, I think, 200 or 220-ish responses. Out of it, 75, responded in positive, and I got 15 of my first clients through what was a broadcast list on that space. And these were people who had no idea what coaching was. So I got my first taste to what coaching outside of a peer coach was. And here I understood a new segment of work, which I think some of you who attended the previous sessions will know that me being a multilingual coach. I come from Bangalore, which is a city of locals, a lot of immigrants and people from the south, intermingling for a lot of conversations. So linguistics has never been a problem. So I do very quickly know three languages that I can write, read, and converse. And this essentially helped me to look at when I worked with clients who had no, say, CEO, CTO leadership segment experience, who are my friends, who are my, first circle of spaces. And they felt a lot more easier. I couldn't communicate to them in English as much as the ease at which I could communicate to them in the local language was a lot more. And they also responded in equal gusto with that. And that was the first entry to become a multilingual coach. I coach in three different languages, Kannada being spoken across crores of people in this segment of the world. And yeah, crores is about, yeah, zero point 0.1 billion segment, if that's right number, right mathematics. So this was what I understood that there is an ecosystem here that I can tap on. It was very clear for me that I was not a leadership coach for the big organizations because at that point I didn't have an ACC. I knew of the all the shit that happens in a big MNC at that point of time. So I knew this was not going to work out. And also traditionally, I don't like towing the line in so many places. So I said, look, I have to build my own ecosystem. And then the name came along. So biggest problem for us, it's easy to get an ACC, it's easy to get a PCC, very easy to get an MCC. But what do you name your company? And that was where Nimma Coach happened. And all these 15 people had come to me because they were my friend. Sunil is my friend. So now Sunil is my coach. And that was how Nimma Coach came into play, which essentially just simply said, I'm your coach. And that's the end of it. And that's the beginning, that's the middle, and that's the end. And even now, when I get my clients here, so these people come to me because they know me, and through different segments of my work, they trust me, and they also know that I do coaching. And at some point of time, because I keep writing about some of my escapades with coaching, the misadventures, the adventures, the success story, and XYZ, they come back to me at some point saying, Sunil, I think we should have a conversation. And this happens in the quiet spaces of somebody giving me a call, someone else's wedding, someone else's function. I mean, it and say, yes, I think, how's your business going? Business is going interesting. What are you doing? What do you actually do as a coach? Oh, you do this? Oh, I think I would need it. Zero money spent on customer acquisition or zero money spent on digital marketing. Because they're marketing to the person right away through different segments, so either on WhatsApp or on LinkedIn or on multiple in-person spaces. Because the segment of in-person spaces is a overlooked segment for some of us as coaches. And that's one thing that I like to leave you as a tip to saying, hey, this could be something that you could look at. The aspect then moved into ACC. I finished my 100 hours, then I got mentored. And in my mentoring, I understood that, what is a good coaching, what is not. And I pretty easily sailed through my ACC mentoring. And then the conversation went to a point where in the next 2 months, I had the option of operating as an ACC. And at that point of time, I gave my recording to ICF in early January. I heard back from them in May or April saying that one had passed, no questions there. And in May, I wrote my ACC and I cleared it in the first attempt. In May 2023, at that point, it was the best choice and the worst choice, the best option and the worst option. Everybody around me were failing. And this is where the engineer in me just made a mathematical segment of how you pass the exam. If you were to do 75%, that means for every three right answers, I can drop one answer. I can still make it work. I can still get 75%. I got about 78 or 79. I passed, so that was the end of the conversation with that. But then that was when people in the coaching segment started to notice what I was doing. Blitzkrieg coaching, 100 hours in, very quick to ACC. And at the same time, my timer to figure out another job had run out. And I told myself and I told people at home saying, hey, this is going to be full time. Either you support me or don't talk about. So that was the conviction with which Nimma Coach got built and is continuing to get built. And then I enrolled for my PCC. And for any of you who are listening in who would love to know whether you should do PCC, I'd say if you're doing it for improving your skill set, no two questions about it, do it. If you're only thinking that everybody else is doing PCC, you should do it, don't do it. And I was blessed to go to another organization, Cocharya, at this time, and under the able mentorship of Ujjwal ji, who's another MCC man. We just struck a chord with the entire cohort. And that for me was another turning point in my journey as a coach. And in one of those peer coaching conversations, and just FYI, I finished my 500 hours in less than 1 year, 363 days, and a half a day, 363.5 is when I done my 500. And the last 1 month, I had done a marathon of 100 hours in 23 days, 21 days. So that was the segment of interest for me to just get this going. It was a passion aspect. I loved coaching. That's when I understood the power of a pause, the power of silence. I haven't, for the love of God, until now read any single book on coaching. Not even a single book on coaching. It's just what happened in session. What my trainer talked about concepts, learn the concept, apply it in coaching, reapply it, refine it, re-refine it, come back, share, build on it, figure out what works, what doesn't work. The engineer in me is like, can we build a system to make this work? When to use this, what not to do, how not to do. The poet in me and the writer in me was a very quick read of people, a very quick read of observations that are happening in the facial segments, the body language, and I had set, like a lot of my characters as a writer had come from deeply being observative of people. Like, how do they wear their spectacles? When do they shift? What are they sharing? How is the speed of sharing? Uh, any changes that have happened very minutely. These were things I could just get. because of being a writer, because of being talking to so many people, and like the data that was there about conversations and people made it very easy to catch up on the smaller aspects. And PCC really was a game changer. And 80% done through PCC, somebody said, hey, let's build a small cohort for observing other people coaching. And we will also coach, we will also share feedback. And this I think I'm always grateful to Yashaswini and Akila and all the others that started it. And that before my PCC, I had sat in anywhere between 100 to 125 such instances where I was either the coach getting feedback from peers, or I was the coach sitting, observing, and sharing. And that was where core competencies understanding, nuances understanding, what to do, what not to do, how to ask, what to ask, reading the unsaid became so easy for me to work. And then PCC eventually happened within another 3 more months. So by November 1st of 2023, I was a PCC. And yes, the PCC exam again, I gave it once, I cracked it again. And that was the beginning of me teaching others how to crack the exam in terms of the mental preparation, not necessarily the other aspect of what do you physically prepare for, what do you in terms of studying, what do you prepare for. And 2023 onwards, or in that segment 22 to 24, every second coach I called was like, oh, I failed my exam. And here I had figured it out. I don't even know how I had done it. But then after a conversation, I understood the embodiment of the competencies, looking at it mathematically, going there with the belief that this exam is not going to be something that will test me as a coach in terms of my worthiness as a coach. I am worthy as a coach, irrespective of where the exam is going to be. And these were all things that helped me through the exam and get better at that. And this is the journey until PCC. PCC happens, and then I put out a word saying, hey, as soon as you get your PCC, I had understood from multiple people from multiple segments and multiple networks that you can start mentoring. And very tentatively, I'd asked my friend saying, what do you think I should charge for 10 hours of mentoring? And they said maybe around 8,000 is what you can charge for 10 hours of mentoring. And I was at that point thinking, oh, I think it is good. And then I asked them, saying, what should I quote? And somebody said, quote, whatever you want. And this is also another aspect that I have continued to follow in terms of what I charge my clients. And I charge my clients what they would love to, contribute to whatever is happening. And it starts as low right now as 2,500, which is somewhere around $30 ish, 30 US dollars, to anywhere between 150 to $200 per hour per session. And for me, when I came in, one of the biggest challenges I had was I couldn't get data out of any other coaches because they were also figuring it out. The ones who had figured it out 10 years back, 12 years back. And they used to tell us these numbers saying, hey, Sunil, like, quote whatever you want, whatever you are worth. And for the love of God, I could not, put a number to that. Because the people that they were coming to, the numbers that people told me to quote, that was almost 20 or 25% of their monthly salary. Outside of EMIs and outside of, having kids, blah, blah, blah. These are not people that would be able to afford something per session. Not even per year. Per year would be a space that they could ask. So that's how I built the space to say, okay, this is what I will charge. I remember charging 100 rupees for my first session. That's about just about $1.25. And then 200 because I knew I was a good coach. Then it became 500. Then it became 1,000. Then it became two and a half. Then it became three. Then it became four. Then five. Then eight. Then 15. And maybe even up to 20. I haven't gone beyond 20, even in terms of quoting. Right? This is how my journey went. So it was just building on the blocks of confidence, just being there full time, giving 1,000% into what I was learning, and also LinkedIn helped here. So the entirety of this journey was captured through LinkedIn, my challenges, my journey, my writing, what coaching is, what coaching isn't, who am I, what's my life journey, what do I find fascinating, who am I meeting, who am I grateful for. What do I tell about myself? Who am I going to meet? And then somewhere along the way, after PCC, I started to get into mentoring. And the first call that I put, somebody answered, and they were ready to pay 15,000, which was at that point 2x what I was thinking of asking for 10 hours of mentoring. And those 10 hours were one to one, and they got their salt work. And then I decided, let's monetize the idea of a coaching lab, wherein 4 coaches to 5 coaches get a shot at, getting mentored in a group coaching session. And this was for 12 hours of group coaching itself, because the 7.5 I felt was just a tick mark number. I mean, now you know that I'm not a tick mark guy. So I said, I will design something for you that's for 15, even 18, 20 hours of mentoring. And I'll handhold you to a point of saying, yes, you tell yourself without me, you'll be able to operate. And one of the success stories I'm extremely proud of is one person who got mentored during this entire campaign, then got to from ACC to PCC, from PCC, they have become a mentor coach. And they keep telling me, if not for what you drilled into us during the mentoring sessions and the practice, I would have not gotten to PCC or not gotten to a place where I can call myself a mentor myself. So that was the journey of getting into mentoring. And this entire journey, I have offered every year 4 pro bono mentoring conversations for women and men and Indians at many places. So in March, I offer 1 month of pro bono coaching for women. November International Men's Day, I offer it for men. And I also offer the people across Karnataka, because November is our month in terms of, we call it Kannada Rajyotsava, which is the formation of the state. We celebrate the formation of the state, the unification of the state. And I coach them in Kannada at that point of time. So these are 3 pro bono spaces. Pro bono, as in they don't pay me in terms of money, but they pay me in terms of referrals. They pay me in terms of a coffee, the same segment of bartering, right? Something else outside of money comes in. For them, it becomes easier to understand taste coaching. And very clearly, I don't do B2B, or I don't do CEOs very clearly. It was an idea. So I started to figure out, can I work with NGO leads? Can I work with housewives? Can I work with entrepreneurs? Can I work with younger kids who are getting into college? Can I work with people who are moving to another country? And that's where I found that space. I do love to work with Indians in the US. The pay is excellent, they understand the need for coaching, and they value the aspect of coaching, and they come to figure out what they really want. And I have about 10 plus clients out there who came to me just from because they already knew me, they were my juniors, they settled in another country, and their challenges in another country is very different. And this is where for me I am the right fit too, because I am a cultural fit. And I also have a PCC at that point. So these became my side tracks of saying, hey, this person is a cultural fit for me. And then over a period of time, mentoring, coaching, training, and that's when the tribe of coaches happened. The tribe is right now in its third year of existence. This August, we finished three years of existing. And that for me was a new space of identity. And this is where I knew that I can be a coach trainer. And somewhere along the way, poetry and coaching sort of also coexisted in the PCC journey. A stuck client. And before that, one of the other businesses that I run is that I help youngsters find the love for writing without using ChatGPT now. Writing with your heart, writing with your gut, and writing love stories in your own hand. So I teach them that they could start as young as 8 years old. Not love stories at that point, but generally, fictional stories and poems and stuff. And I also podcast, which is another aspect of coaching, except that I'll have to talk a little bit more. And also, additionally, I handle people's LinkedIn accounts. I just bring all my strengths into one place. And inside coaching, I mentor coach, I coach other coaches, I coach other individuals. Then I become a consultant for people to build their LinkedIn branding. I'm also looking to get coaches on a podcast and build their branding through that, and essentially also become a coach trainer. Now I'll talk to you about the tribe of coaches. The TOC is a 3-year-old WhatsApp group. It started with 40 people and it started with an idea saying peer coaches drop out of peer coaching groups. ICF chapters exist, but people who have not paid the global membership have no access to that at many times. And let's be honest, I don't know how many of us have caught up on recordings of many things that we said we'll catch up on. So what if we are able to give a live ecosystem where we are consistent, we build a community, and we bring all the right things that are happening at all the right places together at one place, and that's how Tribe of Coaches began. And right now, we are about 320 plus coaches and a footprint of maybe another 30, 40 years. Others who come in are on a break and then somehow have come transactionally, been there, left the organization, left the community. And this was when I knew that, okay, I had to do my MCC because every time we were in the group, the mentoring, the live coaching sessions, and one of the things that set me up with the ICW was just another peer coach. So I did my first ICW in 23, my second in 24, one session in 23, 13 sessions in 24, 21 sessions in 25, and 29 almost in 2026. So this is how the love for coaching, passion for coaching, look for different subjects, look for what people have not done, look for what the CEO coaches are not doing, look for bringing your own brand, build it on authenticity, build it on honesty, build it on humility. And 37 people have said yes to me as a mentor. Out of it, 36 are elder than me, way, way elder than me. And for me, it's built humility. It's built saying, hey, let's build on my strength. I have built other ecosystems that are supporting businesses to put there. And at some point, the conversation kept on happening, saying if an MCC versus a PCC is to be chosen for mentoring, a person would always choose an MCC, even if it meant they pay an additional amount to get there because of the assumed value to it, and sometimes also the intrinsic value of working with an MCC. And that was where I started fostering the aspect of MCC and also the aspect of what I've been doing mentoring. What if I also now start getting coach training? The same question again, very honestly, for young coaches, the bias is set against us saying, oh, do you really know what you're doing? This is something a bias that continues to exist, and I call it out in many places. And I keep saying that I don't have white hair, neither do I have, like experience on my account. So I may not be even considered for some of these places there. And ICW became then a game changer, saying, look, I can host a session with another MCC and I could be nobody and still I could host a conversation here. And that's helped me build strength, then network, then build on it, then got to a place where I wanted to bring coaching and poetry together into one singular platform and teach that to school teachers across government schools in Karnataka. Teach that to like coaching as a learning, not necessarily only with the ICF, but then if it's ICF accredited, ICF approved, why not? Take coaching to tier two and tier three cities. Take coaching to people who need it the most. And it could be through a training program, it could be through a facilitation program, it could be through an experience program. And what I've understood is coaching sells because the experience, you have to sell the experience of coaching. The client on the other side, especially B2C, does not care whether you're a PCC, an MCC, an ACC, uncredentialed, NLP, CBT, whatever the long list of stuff that we build, they don't care. So what if we can exist in that spaces where the world is not existing? So it's like that bottle, and there are pebbles that are put in. You can put water, you can put sand, you can put other things. Can I put myself at those places where the big pebbles are not there? And that's the whole idea of this entire journey for the last 4 years. And in this journey, the tribe has become a 350 member space. We've done two conferences, two online conferences. We've got MCCs on the house to come and talk about their journey, build that space up, and the live mentoring, live coaching. People have really improved their coaching, and I have improved my mentoring. Um, and I've essentially grown as an individual in this entire journey of becoming a MCC or an unbecoming of a coach, uh, and then becoming or having that be me rather than becoming something. And that's the journey it has taken, and that's the journey it has been. And by now, you know that I can run a 50-minute monologue as much as with ease as anything else. So that's the journey so far. I am sure of some place that had resonated with you. If it hasn't, we will wait for some time for it to resonate. I'll just keep in touch and we'll figure out what needs to be done. And yeah, I've never been shy of sharing my journey, sharing vulnerability, sharing that space, saying, look, I'm also trying to figure out. And that's how the community has been built, and very, very strongly acknowledging that journey of mine to be what it is today. And I don't know what adventures it brings because I've told myself the next 30 years is still in coaching. I'm right now 34 years old, so very easily the next 30 is in coaching. And we live in an ecosystem where we would need coaches in all aspects of life. We are aging parents, aging grandparents. Our own spaces are also aging. Climate change, wars, displacement. So we would need somebody who would love to listen to people and ask questions that help them move from place of uh, disadvantage to possibly a place of advantage for them, to a place of uh, less to a place of more and less to a place of peace. So that's the journey as is. I don't know what adventures come next, but I'm really looking forward to really put myself there in the mentoring space, also in the coach training space, and really take coach training to, the deep interior India and make coach training accessible. In a world of AI, I really want to be human. And that is that. Oof. Yes. Thank you. Any questions, anything you would like to share? I don't know if any of you are sleeping or all of you are awake or some of you are. Um, yes. All right, Rhonda, I see your hand up. Please feel free to jump in. And Rhonda, you're on mute.
Sorry. I wanted to first say that I really admire and am inspired by your conviction and the attitude that you took towards, I'm going to do this. I was particularly tickled when you said, I'm doing this and you either support me or we're not talking about it. I really love that. But here's my question. Um, did you ever have a moment along this journey where you struggled with your identity from shifting from, engineer to coach? And the reason I ask is because I love coaching as well, but I have a 10-year-old consulting business and a completely 20 plus years of something completely different that I've been doing. And every time I think, yeah, I just want to go 100% and just be a coach, something's always pulling me back. It's either there's more work, because of course we have to pay our bills. And then there's also this, I don't know, I don't think it's insecurity because I'm confident in my coaching abilities and I love it. But it's just so weird how, especially in maybe in American cultures, is very strong. Your identity is so tied to your work. And I don't like that. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying it is what it is, and I'm a product of that. So I was just curious, if you had experienced that, or if you have any thoughts around that concept.
Mhm. I think let me answer that in two ways. So one, even when I was an engineer, I was an engineer. I was a sustainability activist. I was a writer. I was, like a leader of multiple teams. I was my mom's first son. I had a sister who, I was, very strongly connected to. I had like extremely large number of people that I was working. So my identity was never um, singularly an engineer. And letting go of the formal engineering segment was not a problem at all. And because I knew at all points of time the engineering was always going to be a part of me, that I can exist as multiple identities in the same place. I don't have to be, uh, sticking to a particular identity. And I also come from a very strong rebel saying, hey, leadership coaching should not be only for leaders. And the leader as a label is for somebody who runs an NGO, somebody who runs a political party, somebody who has leadership equations, right from, say, somebody wants to be a class monitor or a school prefect or whatever. Right? Or, I've seen my mom run her life after my dad passed, all the things that had happened. So she is a leader of her own life. And for me, labels dropped very quickly, and relabeling or labeling at a deeper segment happened way easier. So for me to drop it was always easier. And from a LinkedIn perspective or from a branding perspective, I wear all of my identities with, on my chest, and I wear it very proudly. All of them have been that. And if you build it with that authenticity and say, hey, this is who I am. And if you are from another culture and you have a different space, I accept that. But this is me, right? And it's accept me or leave it. Right? That's that's always been the case. That transition. All right. In terms of now, even if I have to tell, I run four businesses. When people ask me saying, do you run 25, 25, 25, 25? I say, no, I run 150 on all capacities. Right? I think all four businesses at 150% capacity. It's a physical overwhelm, sometimes a time-based overwhelm. But what I internally look at it in terms of my storytelling is that I'm building a forest or a garden. It's permaculture. So there are different segments of businesses that will be giving me a flower, that will be giving me a fruit, that will give me timber, whatever said and done. At every point of time, they need to be nurtured in the same time. And that's what's happening with all four of them. I can't say I am building a 10% papaya, 30% coconut, 12% timber, and say 2% jasmine. So all coexist at the same time. It's just that if this becomes a thought process, then everything else internally aligns. And so it also aligns external. When you talk to people, you talk that, hey, yes, I do consulting. Yes, I do coaching. Yes, I do this. And all of them are part of my identity. And you tell me, what do you want? So that's the switch. And for me, it works. It's just that I figured out it works for me.
I really, 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 really like that a lot. Thanks for sharing that. I do struggle with having a lot of different things, and I think it's because even especially sometimes showing up on LinkedIn, you feel like you have to be so professional. And I'm just now recently getting more into, well, we talked about it in the session that I was in with you last with the assignment that you gave us. That was a stretch for me to post something like that, because I'm used to posting these scholarly articles. I'm just intrigued by that. I really appreciate that because it's kind of giving permission to be more authentic. It's not that we're not. It's just that sometimes we feel like we shouldn't be in certain places because of well, because of what we're told. So thank you for that.
Okay. And I think it's a journey for all of us, right? So every time we get into something, it becomes a journey. We are figuring it out. And as soon as you give yourself permission to figure that out and permission to treat it as a journey and, fail, stumble along, but you know that this is the right path, that this is the path that you're getting on. Everything else becomes secondary, right? So that's what I would love to share. Thank you. Thanks, Judith. Anyone else would love to unmute and share? Maybe we can push another five, or if not, we are right on time, right on the top of the hour. Yes. So Lily, Philip, Preeti, Uhi, Maleha. And Maleha, I think, is registered for quite a lot of the sessions that I am posting. Very happy that you found all of these interesting. And just again, just before we sort of close this, just sharing about uh, the aspect in terms of the LinkedIn and the WhatsApp community that we have built. Govind, I think, has already shared the link, but I'm doing it anyways. And yeah, so these are two links that you can figure out, and you can get in touch on WhatsApp. And like I said, one of the things I've also done in coaching is to be very authentic and share if this was something that you found useful, write a testimonial, write a LinkedIn post, and maybe share something else that would be of space where somebody else can also find me useful. And another thing, if you're part of any of the ICF chapters and would love to have a young coach come and talk about his journey of building the space, you know where to find me. You can always get in touch. I can always make that happen. All right, Ruhi, I see you unmuted.
Yeah,
You,
I unmuted myself, Sunil. Thank you so much for this session. And I think what really stays with me is when you said that, take your time to, find your direction. So I think I am in that zone right now where, I've just finished my 100 hours, you know. It's been like about 3.5 weeks since I finished, but I'm still kind of, I've not applied for my credential because I'm in that zone. So I think that really, kind of struck with me as to really, what do I want to do with coaching? Though I personally, I just enjoy the whole process. I find it extremely, helpful coaching as a process, Um, but really, how do I want to take this ahead? And I took the decision of, getting into coaching in different circumstances. My life circumstances have changed now. So, so really taking the time to, think. And when you said that, it really kind of stayed with me. So I just wanted to call it out. Thank you. Thank you so much.
most welcome, most welcome. And so every one of us has our own journeys. Again, it's again choices, informed choices, risks, and I jumped in at that point of time where it was like it continues to be a challenge. But then it also at that point when I did this was it. I love this, so let's get this done. I want to stay here in the next 30 years, so let me do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you. Thank you so much.
Anyone
Sunny, I just want to
else?
say
Yes, Lily.
thank you for your sharing. Very inspiring. I think I'm going to keep in touch. And also, so I wasn't able to join some of the other sessions. Are you going to put everything on your YouTube
Yes.
or is it?
Yes. So
Okay, so I will check it
the
later.
sessions will be on YouTube. The same link that Govind has been sharing on the chat. So you can jump in there. The recordings, especially of the live and the mentoring, they will not be as a public video. There will be an unlisted video, and if somebody needs it, only then we share. So rest, whatever is done, that's publicly there. It's all uploaded, so you can find not just this year's, the last year's, and last year's madness of coaching live, wherein I don't know how many of you are aware of this. Mime or this thing wherein mono-acting, right? So it's not mime, it's mono-acting. So if I'm on this side and wearing a hat, I'm a client. If I'm on this side wearing possibly a half suit, then I am a coach. So this was done live. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I had no script. Everything went on the spot, and It's a crazy experiment as such. So you'll also find all such crazy experiments on the YouTube channel. So you should be able to get through. Yes.
Yeah,
And
we are
anything
not
else
able to
you had
save the
planned?
chart. Sorry,
Sorry?
I'm trying to, so not able to save the chart. I just didn't
Not
quite
able
get
to
it.
save, is it? Okay.
Yeah, but it's okay. Let me see you have many links. I'm
Yeah.
trying to sort later. Yeah, it's
Yeah, Govind has put quite a lot of links. So Govind is a friend of mine from the last 2 years. So he met me in the ICW in 2024, and then 100% attendance with all the sessions that we are part of. So I have had lovely friends come through from here. So if you can just drop me a message on WhatsApp, which I'm just sharing right away. You can, you know, uh, stay in touch. All the other links will also come back to you, and it will be easy. And this is a global group that we are building, so anyone and everyone's okay. And if you are accustomed to your YouTube, sorry, your WhatsApp buzzing a few times during the day, this is a good group to be in. All right. So I am assuming that no one else has anything additional to share. If not, if that's the case, then I close. If not, feel free to unmute, share, and we can then close. All right. Thank you all, Lily, Philip, Ruhi, Mleha, Rana, and everyone else that had previously joined. Thank